year. Well, it was impact.
All right, did you see the nature study?
Yeah, I saw him put it down. I haven't finished it. I got the bill already.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, so we get that money back. We got to figure out how we'll get a bunch of money back.
Well, I got my folder. We need to sit down and go through.
I'll be here Wednesday morning. I haven't been here
Post it in advance to get to the big. You almost have to post it every day if people don't do that shit.
Well, as long as people make comments, it stays at the top.
Well, I guess we're ready to go. Yep, it is 6 o'clock.
There we go.
Ready when you are, Carla.
Okay, we're gonna open the finance meeting, calling it to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Reedy,
Present.
Cosgray, Phillips.
Also in attendance, we have council members Debbie Schaffner, Rick Foreman, Wade Cosgray, Mayor Rick Ellis, Brett Rogers, Chief, Matt Nyheiser, and Administrator, and Brian Beckler, Fiscal Officer. We don't have any visitors. Can I have approval of the minutes of September 9th, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of our meeting.
Do I have a roll call?
Yeah,
Roll call, please.
you had her say. Okay. Cosgray.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes. I don't see where I'm supposed to approve the agenda on here, but.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Committee meetings, there's no.
Visitors, gonna keep all these short, all these meetings short, because we have 3 before 7 o'clock. Goals, we keep sitting within the 2024 appropriations. We do not have any old business and new business. Review of the monthly financials, Brian.
Okay, last month we ended up with a balance between the bank and our books of $1,973,072.30. Looks like total receipts for last month was $301,000 and payments for $293. Had a few NSF checks last month.
Written to us.
Well, yeah, we have sometimes when we have people write checks, they bounce. And there's a process we have to go through to recoup that money, but that's pretty much it for that page. There's page 2. This gives you what the prior bank balances were and what they calculated and what I entered, so there's no differences. That's page 3 is the outstanding payments for the month. And page 4 is the outstanding receipts, which is utility receipts of $1,400. Any questions on the reconciliation?
Now, my question is out of the $1,973,000, what do we have left this year that is a big bill that we have to pay? I guess my question to you,
OWDA in December,
which is how much?
186,000.
186. Okay. And will we, another question was, is the money that we paid for the land over at the park, which was like 120 or 150,000?
120.
120, will we get that back before the end of the year?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll have to get with Jeff. I know this was a grant that we got into with our previous administrator, and I know Jeff was involved, and I think we've been awarded it. I mean,
Yeah, we have that. I mean,
so I guess we could start submitting paperwork to get reimbursed for that.
let's get the paperwork started so we get our money.
I guess I have to figure out how to do that.
Let us get with Jeff. He'll tell
Yeah, but we only get half of it back. It's a 50-50.
120.
Yeah, it's a 50.
Because
It's a 50-50 grant.
yes, okay. All right. But we might as well try to get that money back as quick as we can.
But that's a good.
Okay.
Check register, starting on page, well, the next page, there's 5 pages of that. Looking at it. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. We did have a check for 17.5 for Spires paving. That was for Tim and the crew working on up in Washington area. Was a storm drop. That's repaving of that.
There wasn't a storm drop up there. Yeah.
It's $1,973,000. That's what we have in the bank now.
Yep. But that's what we got in the bank, but it's so much in the general fund, so much in the street fund, so much in the state highway
Do we know how
fund.
much is in the general fund?
Yeah, I can tell you as of.
That's why I was asking too, or like what, if there was any other big bills left in the year to pay, which.
It comes out of the water, that comes out of the sewer debt service fund.
Gotcha.
To answer his question.
$186,000 bill. I don't know.
For the sewer plant, yeah. That's the
How
password.
will we know the general? Can you send us that info?
No, I can start sending you the breakdown if you want. It's just a simple 1-page
It'd be
report.
nice to get a simplified version. It kind of breaks it down. This much is remaining in general, this much remaining in sewer, this much remaining in water.
As of 9:30.
Sometimes it's like this simple information gets lost in the weeds.
Yeah, if I can put that on the screen. There it is. On the screen. That's the breakdown. So much in the what is?
Oh, cool. Yeah, that would be nice to have.
You want that in the future? I can start
Yeah,
producing
just so
that.
we can just see what this.
So the general fund has 621,000.
That's correct.
Should be more.
State highways only got 60.
Should be a lot more than that.
State highways got, as you can see, right down the line. So as you can see in the sewer debt service, we got 237. That's more than enough to cover the payment in December.
Yeah.
As you can see, the swimming pool fund, $18,000. That's why I'm asking for money in advance from the general fund to pay for the Stager Stone,
We'll
so
need-
we can get reimbursed and replenish that
Yes,
money.
Yes, we'll need to do that.
Any other questions on what the funds are? Oh, gee. Wait a minute, I gotta figure out how to get this off now.
Busy looking.
Uh,
Okay, any other questions for Brian?
well, yeah, I'm not done yet. I mean, Jeff Backus, what's Jeff Backus? I can't remember what that $14.94 payment was, but I'm having
Yeah.
problems.
resolutions next.
I'm having issues turning that. Oh, wait, here we go. Do it that way. There we go. Financial report metrics, Star Ohio last month was 2487.21. Distribution to Rita is 80 from Rita last month, 86,500. Appropriation status end of September, we should be under 75%. Street fund's a little above that right now. That's because of all the projects that occurred previously. It's just now catching up. And we should be where we're supposed to be on majority of the major revenue sources for the property tax allocation. That's rollback and homestead. We just got that check last week, so that'll be 100% next month. Appropriation status, again, 75% is where we should be. And it looks like all the big funds are below that for the year. So we're in good shape right now.
On the bicentennial committee, does that include the $5,000 from the village or from these?
No, I was going to ask about that. No, that does not include the village because are we contributing 5,000 this year? Because that'll have to be a transfer. We'll have to have Jeff prepare legislation for that.
You haven't voted on it.
I know you voted on it. I didn't know. Okay, I'll have to
If
have.
we get more money than that.
Now wait a minute. What's that?
If we get more than that, what we need.
We said that next year, if we wouldn't do the full 5,000, it would be whatever.
There's a difference between a transfer and advance. A transfer is permanent. Advance is a short-term loan. I mean, I could probably go ahead and have Jeff prepared to do a transfer, but next year we might want to consider just advancing the money because once you get the money there, you can't go back. That's permanent. So
Yeah.
that's
Because if we got more money
right.
than we need, then
Do we expect to get more money this year? Is it gonna be like over, so when next year comes?
no, I think we should have it all collected before the end of November.
Well, it all depends on the grant. It depends on the sales grant.
And that we need to get on that, I guess, too.
Well, we're hoping, we haven't talked about it, but we haven't submitted it yet, but we're hoping to December 1st.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, any other questions for Brian? Can I have approval of the financial reports, please? Roll call,
You could do roll call or all in favor. I don't care.
all in favor? Okay, resolution 2024-34.
This is basically advancing money from the general fund, 10,000 or 20,000 total, 10,000 to the urban forestry and grant fund. It is a reimbursement grant. Now we have a contract out there with a company that's doing all the inventory of the trees. We got to get some money in there. I can't write a check out if there's no money. So I need the council to authorize it just in advance until we start getting reimbursed and we pay it at the conclusion. Same with the swimming pool fund, as you saw. There's $18,000 in the swimming pool. That's not enough money to cover the $22,000 invoice I got for Nature Stone. So I just got to get money in advance.
Out of the general fund. Yes.
That's what that.
And we'll get that money back when we close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So does this have to
I
go
need-
cancel tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes, there is. Yes, there is.
That's beverage.
All right, so,
Thank you. And we're gonna get paid back for both.
eventually. It might not be this year. Well, the pool will be this year,
Pool will be
but the
this year,
urban
yes.
canopy might not be. I know you said you're sponsored, but you also have to make a motion to take it to council.
Oh, yeah. I'll make that a motion. The finance takes resolution 2024-3 for city council.
I'll second. Any discussion? Can we have an approval or do I have to vote?
Cause Gray.
Say aye. Aye.
And then the next one is the ordinance authorizing BK Lair as the contractor for the
Right.
Gordon Street project.
Right. And that needs to be sent tonight too, right?
Well, if they want to get started right away, yeah, it needs to be sent.
Yeah.
I think Tim told me that
Yeah.
they want to get it passed.
So they just want to get it done so we can get it started and finished.
So I'll sponsor that as well. And I'll make a motion that we send ordinance 2024-36 to council for approval.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. I can only do one thing.
All right, you're all right.
Okay, discussion. Aye. All right. Anything else that needs to go to finance?
Just real quick,
Sure.
impacts finance. So in my VA packet that I put, it replaces, if you look at the third and fourth pages of that, I think I was here 2 weeks and Brian told me that one of the things I needed to look into before the end of the year was insurance. Village employees weren't real satisfied with what they had, and so it was a question that we were looking into. It wasn't a week later, and we got this email from OML, the Ohio Municipal League, letting us know that there was a new group health insurance program through OML. So they were going to leverage the 700 members within OML to produce a better product as well as at a better price. And so we met with the representative, I don't know, about a month ago,
It was late August,
late August,
early September, I believe.
and listened. We were skeptical because we don't want to, especially being new, I didn't want to make any big decisions and then have it come back and hurt either the village or the employees. But they presented us what's on here. So the two columns are what we currently have. And the third column is what's been quoted for us. So this is good until January 1st, United Healthcare. And I think what you'll see is the deductibles are at a huge discount. Primary care, specialist care, those things are at a discount. And what you'll notice is if we end up going with United Healthcare, we would save over $43,000 this year, next year on our group health insurance. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. And I was excited about that savings, and I was excited about Brian and I both were. We worked together on this. Didn't know if you guys had any questions about that.
Yeah, but you guys are leaning toward United Health.
Mhm.
Got it. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we got the renewal. We got the renewal from our current rep around the 1st of October, and it's a cost increase of 15% from last year.
And that's keeping the same.
And that's keeping the same policy.
same policies that we have this year.
And our current rep, he's a good guy. I mean, he really helped us out 5 years ago, but he really hasn't done anything to help us save any money. He hasn't shopped around. I don't think he's done that.
We really don't care if he's a nice guy.
I understand. But
You want to give somebody a chance.
I want to give somebody
It
a
doesn't say this money.
it's just,
So these medical mutual, these are just based on what we were charged last year?
no, that's
That would have been, if we'd have stayed with our current rep, that's what it would have been for this year. Or 2025.
and we showed a couple employees and they are ecstatic with this if we go with these people.
And then it'll start January 1st. What is it that you need from us?
I don't know that we need anything. I think we just wanted to make you aware.
You okay?
I just, my understanding is that our current rep was unable to re-quote with Medical Mutual because he was terminated as a rep. Before he had an opportunity.
Well,
So I don't know if that's true, but that's what he's indicated is that he is unable to quote the job because a letter was sent to Medical Mutual that he no longer represents the village before he could quote.
So he did send us rates for 2025.
He did.
He did. And that was before we had done anything. We compared those,
Yeah.
and that's when we went with.
If he wants to shop around, we're not stopping him. He can jump, he can do that.
Right.
Um,
Well, he indicated that he could not get a quote from Medical Mutual because they were sent to termination.
see this whole.
Well, we did. I'll tell you what we didn't do.
Okay.
What we didn't do is once we got the quote from OML's insurance, the USI, we did not go back to him and say, "Can you match this?"
Well, we didn't do that.
So we didn't do that, but we did get updated quotes from him for 2025 based upon our medical mutual plan. And then that's what we had when we compared with what USI was doing.
In order for him to quote it, apples to apples, he needs to be able to fill out the form file, which is everybody's information, and give it to the Medical Mutual to get a current quote. Because back when he did this 5 years ago, we had old men on our payroll. And since then, we've hired a lot of young men, which tends to lower your rates. And so it hasn't been resubmitted to Medical Mutual with our current.
Well, if I signed something to cut him off, I apologize. But the thing was, they had to have access to the form files. We didn't fill out any form. They took, the insurance company took
That's fine.
the past form files in the history. I gave them an updated roster. They did it, and that's what they came up with.
And if he's given permission to use the same form fire, if he's more expensive, then I'll be the first one to say, move it. But my understanding is he's been cut off from the form fire because of the termination letter. I don't know if that's true.
If you guys could just look into that, we just want to give him an opportunity. If you can't save us money, can't save us
I know
money.
5 years ago,
He saved us, yes.
I know 5 years ago, everybody was wringing their hands because we can't get insurance.
Right.
Cut off.
Right.
We have no insurance, okay?
Yeah.
He came in, got it taken care of, and now, before he got a chance to submit a quote, he was terminated and can no longer get a quote because he's cut off from the form fire and can't get a current quote. So if that just needs some paperwork done to fix that, I think you ought to be giving up the quote.
Right.
And last conversation, he was unable to
Okay.
for the current person.
We'll look into it.
Okay, just look into it. That's it.
That's all anybody's asking is just go get that.
Okay, anything else for finance? So we get into rules and public. The next meeting is scheduled for the second meeting of November 11th at 6 p.m. Does everybody know? All in favor of adjournment?
6.
622.
Pass that down a little bit. Okay. Ms. Schaffner, I'm ready.
Get that
We're
to
gonna
him.
be here in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And we can call the rules committee to order at 6:22 p.m. Roll call.
Schaffner, Foreman, and McCurry on way.
Oh, all right. So also in attendance, we have the folks from Vancouver, VA Matt Schmeiser, Police Chief Brett Rogers, council people, Darla Lee, Josh Phillips, and Lloyd Post. I have a motion for,
Who makes a motion we approve the minutes from September 19th?
I would show no stuff at that. Visitors.
Hi, Brandy.
Hi, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Okay, if I take, you approve minutes 2-0.
2024 goals, large alleys, best table for right now. Moving on. You have a chance to get this over. Can I just go through, because I just want to make sure I got this all straight in my own head. About this. Correct. We have an ordinance 2024-23 that requires registration of home-based businesses. So my understanding would be that can go forward even if we don't.
Yeah.
Come to any kind of conclusion about these other things.
Yes.
That's already a requirement, though, right?
That's what.
Already a requirement.
Well, no, that's why we have the ordinance, because it's not actually, we've never had an ordinance saying it is a requirement.
I don't know that.
Yeah, if
I mean, we.
There's a
have said
process.
It's a requirement, but there's no.
there's a process, if they feel, if they're, I mean, there's something, but it's not a meat and potatoes like this.
And so the comparison chart that we have would apply to the zoning code. So anything that we decide about that particular document would have to go to zoning.
That's probably, yeah, that's what I,
And then
that's my understanding.
the allowed occupations, yes, no, I think to me, those need to be determined by council. I don't see any reason why those would have to. Does everybody agree with that, or just trying to break down all the steps to this particular?
I guess I'm concerned, one thing that comes to mind is when you say home occupations, does that mean that is the building that you live in, or does that mean that you're in a residential neighborhood? Because some of these exist in residential neighborhoods, but no one lives there already. And when you say home occupation, if it isn't where you live, then is it a home occupation or is it a business in a residential neighborhood?
Give me an example.
Right down here, this Enchanted. I don't think the people who own that live there. That's speculation, but that might be an example.
The T40 folks?
Well, then it's not, is it a business thing?
I think the people who rent it have the home occupation.
Well, it wouldn't matter.
Okay,
If
so
you rent it or, if you rent it or own it, I mean, you still gotta abide by the rules.
And
Right,
I think that's what we're trying to do, is you want specific, so whether it's a homeowner or
right,
they are.
or a renter.
Well, and I hate to
So there's
cite the one thing that I know the best, but like my house at 501, is that a home occupation?
no.
It's in a residential neighborhood. I made an attempt to get it rezoned to commercial so that it wouldn't be a residential neighborhood because it was disallowed in a residential neighborhood. And that was flatly refused. So it's like, I guess the only reason I cite that as an example is because the only one I know of off the top of my head, but I know for certain that there are others. One there that I noticed was lawn care, and I know that at least one, probably multiple people who mow for other people operate from their home. And I'm not sure why that's a problem, but I saw that was under the disallowed. So I guess sometimes we pass these things and we don't necessarily spend enough time looking around for examples of where it could create conflict or where it sounds good on paper, but I think we need to spend some more time looking for areas where it may cause people who are harming no one and doing nothing wrong could be impacted by this negatively.
So if you're like, for example, if you have a trailer with 2 mowers and you're out cutting people's grass, how is that
It's a home business because you are getting paid directly from the customer and you operate, it's the same as like talk about clean,
That's a good example. If you get in your car with a bucket full of cleaning supplies, and go clean other people's houses, you're not impacting your neighbors in the least. And if what we're trying to do is get people to acknowledge that they're making this money and pay their taxes, that's one thing. But if we're trying to say, well, you're going to cause a negative impact on your neighbors, you shouldn't allow to do that because that's going to devalue your neighborhood. That's a whole other topic. And so I guess I'm trying to understand what our objective is and make sure that we're not negatively impacting people who are harming no one.
But I think, and my understanding is that that's why we're defining this, because we have, I guess it comes down to, we even discussed businesses that are cash only. So then we're trying to come up with something that has more teeth to make sure that it's enforceable. But if they don't claim things tax wise, then that does make it a sticky situation. So.
and it also is to protect the neighbors of the people who are having their own business. So if I'm an employee, if I work at Ace Hardware, I get a paycheck from you, hopefully. I am not self-employed. Currently, I work for an organization that pays me by, I'm an independent contractor, and I will get 1099 at the end of the year. I am not self-employed because I am being paid by another organization to do work.
Well, there's where I would disagree. If you're getting 1099, you are indeed multiple.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm self-employed, but it's not a home-based business because I'm going to get a 1099 at the end of the year. The taxing authority is going to get.
But if you're doing it from your home, it is indeed a home-based business. Now, granted, someone else is doing your tax report, but you are, in fact, a home-based business.
Oh, all right.
Because you're getting paid for the labor that you're performing in your home.
I don't agree with that.
Well, okay, but let's say that you gathered up your luggage and walked to a coffee shop and did the same thing, like the lady who puts all the clean supplies in her bucket, you have to clean somebody's houses. There was really, to me, little difference there, other than maybe the person whose house she goes and cleans doesn't 1099 her. But if that same person went and cleaned the business, very likely they are getting 1099. So we're trying to involve ourselves in people's, whether or not people pay their taxes or not, and that's a whole different topic. I think we're under-equipped to try to enforce tax law.
So the last time we had this meeting with you, I asked if you were against this all together, and you said no.
And that's still true.
So basically what I'm hearing is that the waters are murky. There needs to be further discussion to clarify.
Well, yeah, line 4,
Because
boarding house,
I can see this both ways.
timeshare condominium, I don't know what that line.
I don't think you're ever gonna cover everything.
Yeah.
I don't
And
agree.
the only thing that we really need to prevent is my business hurting my neighbor.
Okay, that's our objective, and that's,
Is that
I'm not,
what we're
but I'm
going
hearing more about taxes and things like that than
Oh,
I'm
well,
about.
Marina handles taxes.
Yeah, don't worry about
I heard both.
Yeah.
don't worry about the tax side, because as soon as they fill out the paperwork, it goes to Rita. They know.
Yeah, Rita knows.
They know.
So then, indeed, what we're really trying to do is not negatively impact neighbors or devalue neighbors.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Because
what I
that's,
would
if
say.
that's what we're focused on, then that gives me a whole different
Framework to look at.
framework or a perspective on these lines, okay? For instance, and like I say, I circle back to the short-term rental, boarding house, whatever you want to call it, because that's what I know best. But that isn't, I don't want to make it about that, because it could be other things, like a person who has one mower on one trailer that goes and mows the yard for businesses. They're getting 1099 probably from those businesses. So I don't know if that person's negatively impacting their neighbors or not. And I didn't even look to see which side of this can do or can't do they're on. I think they're on the can't do side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, or like a carpenter that's getting paid out at 1099, has no other place to go home and is in his truck, parks his truck in his house at night, he can no longer do that?
Well, I have a suggestion. Can we look at the comparison chart first and start going over? Look, I'd like to know if there's anything that anybody is opposed to on the comparison chart, or what, like, are we covered? Our protocols are very similar to the neighborhood around us. And there's no question. Do that, and then we can start looking at every one of these individual
This is something we need to figure out.
I'm afraid this conversation is gonna be too long from where I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is too.
I don't think anything here is pressing, so I don't think we're pushing this back another month.
No,
No, that's like the ones that are no amount around, right?
There were some of those that we questioned,
Right. Yes.
but I think
You want to talk about it? We should go through that.
the ordinance is tabled, so it can be tabled up to 1 year.
No,
We can
need to
send
figure it
the,
out.
we can
Yeah.
send the ordinance to council,
Yeah.
to Don, can't we?
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah.
I think we need more discussion on what we can and can't have.
I'm not ready to send this.
Well,
based on the conversation.
questions it's required.
If we're gonna conduct more discussion, I would recommend that you just keep it tabled.
Okay.
And then carry on more discussions about it.
because there's a lot of information there which I thought was very helpful.
Yeah, there is, and I haven't,
So,
you talking about the different places?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
didn't,
comparison chart.
yeah, I think that's very helpful.
Links for business and town.
Yes.
All right. New business, anybody have any other older business? New business, an increase, it looks like, an increase from $100 to $150.
Well, that's,
Items in this year.
it's in the employee manual, and it's, I'll let Mac explain it, but basically it's the boot allowance that we provide to our employees that's 20 years old. I didn't know if we wanted to
Yeah.
consider to increase it.
Yes.
And if we just want to run it by you guys, we'd have to, if you okay it, then we'd have to just type legislation to.
Does anybody see a problem with them?
Does anybody have any?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Who's second at McCreary?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then, tree commission.
That's you.
The updates to the
That's you.
ordinances. This was in separate.
Yeah, maybe with the amount of time we have tonight, well, that's up to you guys. I don't know that it's necessary that you decide anything tonight. Mostly want to make you aware the tree commission has been working on making some updates to recommendations for chapter 1272 of the codified ordinance. I've attached that today to email. You've also, I don't know, do you have a hard copy of that?
Yeah, I got to on Friday.
And anyway, that's what tree commission is recommending is those items.
Question for me is, we had a visitor last meeting who was concerned about some of the tree placements. Was that ever discussed with you or?
No, that's not my duty. That's on me.
Yeah. I have a little bit of clarification because we talked about it. The trees are clearly planted on our right. So they're on village property. They are not.
Yeah, I think people
on
problems.
residential
I think people problems with visibility, not where they were planted.
Yeah, and he said there are some that I believe he put in a recommendation that they be pruned and it just hasn't happened yet.
Okay. So we're removing 6 trees the beginning of next week. That was recommended by the tree commission. And then the tree commission is going to do a pruning probably the beginning of first or second week of December. And then village employees will then come through with the chipper in the truck and clean all that up. So
And that's
those,
the trees that are blocking.
yeah, so the gentleman that spoke the last time, those trees have been put on the list.
Yeah.
And there's been just a steady, as we've been doing stuff around the city, they've been taking notice.
Steve is more than reasonable about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we doing with this? What are we doing with this? What are we doing with this?
We're gonna take one or two things. I gotta talk to Steve, but I know that he'll be accommodating.
And he offered to come in and address questions.
Yes, and we'll do that.
Seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Let's see.
My favorite thing is
Right.
You're gonna be a star in the car.
Yeah, but I think it's still there. It's not just my neighbors. Ricky,
My advantage is basically I see the bigger picture stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, you want me to sign it? It's all right.
Thank you.
Brian, you know,
No, thank you.
Yes, I'm sure.
I know, I was almost gonna say that. I was almost gonna say.
That's it.
Okay. And then locked evidence.
You better change it to yes. Depending what you got to say.
Like our prosecutors leaving. We have to fix that out. I'll be here. Okay.
John, I said, it's the same as the last time I was here. I went off. I said, but it's all different people now, so maybe I'll be a little calmer.
That's too cold for me. You don't like it. And this is almost too cold. I have to let it warm up a cool bit.
that's funny. I've never met anybody else who said that.
I didn't think it was.
I got you. You're right. I think
Okay, great.
To call this meeting to order. Can I have a roll call?
Cosgray,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
McCreary,
Present.
Phillips, Reedy,
What here?
Schaffner.
Present.
Okay, the agenda is the proper location of North Pelzer Street, parcel 02402511400, parcel number 0240124420, and parcel number 02402071109. Application from residential R3 to a planning unit PUD. If there are any visitors here tonight, if you want to speak, if you sign in, that would be great. And when we call you, each visitor will have 3 minutes to speak. Because of time constraints, we will stick with that pretty close. But who's the first visitor that would like to speak?
Jim Watkins. Is it Watkins?
Mr. Watkins.
Jim Watkins here, just the lead engineer for the new development of Liberty Bridge, just here in case you guys have any questions.
Ben Turley.
Mr. Turley.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having us all here this evening. Appreciate your time and all. I know that from where I'm at there at 545 North Street, right top of the hill, and right across the road from all this, been there for be 50 years now. So seeing changes in Baltimore, we know change is inevitable. It will happen. We don't have a problem with it. And I think I can speak for some of my neighbors in the surrounding area. We've heard that the last couple of meetings. But the zoning change, yes, we do know that R.D. Horton does own the property. There will be a subdivision in there. Not a problem. I don't have a subdivision in there. However, though, we'd like to see it done responsibly. Absolutely. I believe I'm getting some yeses. I think, any of you like to have, 230 homes, so jammed right up next to 200, whatever, jammed right up next to you. Would you like to have it in your backyard? I'm seeing it. Yes, ma'am.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you wouldn't like to have that in your backyard, would you?
It probably will be coming someday, but
So let's do this responsibly is all I ask. I would like to not see the zoning change, from the current zoning, the way it is now. I'd rather see it keep that the current zoning, do not change it to smaller, like what you call them for 40-foot yard or whatever.
Can I interrupt you? I'm so sorry. I don't think the residents that are living in it are aware of the changes that have been made.
Yeah,
you're
so
talking the other way around.
yeah, so
I had, see this, tonight's meeting come to me sort of like slapped me in the face. I did not, I was told that it was posted at several different venues around town.
and it was
It
on the
was.
website.
Okay. Anyhow, at any rate, whether it is here, there, whatever, I just got here. Obviously, I'm grungy. So
Ben, here's a couple things that I'll tell you. So it's not 200 houses, it's 180 houses.
we dropped the number again.
And we went from 40-foot lots to 50-foot lots.
Okay.
So there's a lot of changes that were made for the betterment of the whole. Just there's 25 acres of green space. There's the price stayed the same. There's going to be some of the homes with garage or with basements. I mean, so there's some of that stuff changed. So it definitely got, I would say, the regular would be negotiated down to a lot less houses than what we were talking about.
And I'm starting to sounding better.
Right. No, I understand.
We don't. Obviously, it's been said at the last couple of meetings upstairs there. We don't want to be another pick town. So yeah, so long as we do it responsibly, keep everybody informed of how it's going, instead of me knowing about a meeting and then suddenly, bam. So because I do want to keep in the know on that because I am affected. I'm right across the creek.
Yeah.
And I'll finish it up here so I won't run over my allotted time. The Basel Street, Basel Road, DC Road, and Rowley Road cannot handle the impact of the new traffic. That, yes, that'll be 10 years from now, but Liberty Township does not move at the rate that the village of Baltimore probably would in enhancements to their roads. But yeah, as you see, especially Basel Street in town, I drive my truck in. It's not the heaviest truck, but it is a pretty fair sized truck. Yes, Basel Street does have some issues where it's, we start overloading that poor old street that was built with a horse and slip scraper 100 years ago. We're going to really tear it up. So let's be responsible and thinking and put that horse ahead of, or put that horse ahead of that cart instead of tearing up the existing streets and overloading our other underground infrastructure, the waterways or the water and sewer. I spoke my mind. Thank you all very much.
Tracy Foltz was a maybe.
I'm Tracy Foltz. I live near Mr. Charlie. I go to work every morning that way. We cannot have traffic out there. It's bad enough as it is. You guys put all these houses out there, we're gonna have more of a problem. And also, I don't think our sewer and water can take it.
Yes.
We have problems. I live on Biggerton Street. We have problems daily with it still. And I understand we're an old, and I understand this should have been taken care of 70 years ago, but that can't happen. We can't go back 70 years to fix things.
Right.
But we got to fix things now. And I think those issues need to be addressed before we start building all these houses. And those of us that live here get stuck in all that traffic and can't get out of town. I'm just saying.
Yep.
And then Scott Thomas.
I wanted to speak on behalf of the development, the owner. I'm Scott Thompson. I have a concrete construction company. I live in the area. I live on Election House Road. I've been in the area for 33 years now. So love this area. And I've got a lot of knowledge. Also have done developments. So I've got a lot of knowledge of this. And the builders, all the different builders. We work for MI Homes. We work for DR Homes, Fisher Homes. So I understand it. So I think I'm qualified to talk here as far as they're probably one of the best builders you'll find for this area. As far as they've got the wherewithal to make this happen, so you don't end up, and everybody thinks there's a lot of money being made on this development as far as the lots. Maybe the houses they do good on, but I can honestly tell you it's hard to develop because I tried and I've had successful developments and it costs too much. They've got to run sewer. There's so much they've got to do here to make this, what this lady here talked about, to make it so you don't have any issues.
Right. And they're paying.
Yes.
They are.
Typically, you guys are giving them a big credits in tax,
We are not
things.
doing.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't lose this development. I'm just sitting here telling you honestly. I think it's a great development. It's not, in my scheme of things, it's not gonna, it's not gonna make a difference to me 10 years, 20 years from now, but I'm honestly telling you, it's great for this community to have someone like this to step up and say, hey, this is a great development. And you see the plan, it's really nice. They've got ponds, they've got green space. That's why I bought this property. I had dreams of, this would be another great development. And I honestly can't make the numbers work. Where they'll build the houses and make money on the houses, I assume. So it doesn't matter quite as much to them. But me as a developer for lots, it's not going to work out. So you need to understand that it's not all like money pours into these. It's actually really risky. So, and I know Dave Dozer, he's been with DR Horton. He and I did a development, years ago. Oak Creek, not Oak Creek,
Wood.
Yeah, the Woods, my bad, in Lancaster. Oak Creek, we put in for him, restoration company. Great guy. He works for DR Horton. He understands it. So I think you have a great opportunity here. I just wanted to stand that. And then the other part of this is too, I don't know if somebody realized it. This was already zoned. It was already platted. It's platted and it would fit right now for Halloween.
It's called Sleepy Hollow. And it's platted. You could go in there and start working it. But it just didn't make sense. So I had it redesigned in Meadow Creek back in 2006. And the issue I ran into then was the downturn. Because I had numbers working back then. And now with inflation and everything, it's like, it's not going to work. So I think you have a great opportunity. Let me see if I want to add anything else here. Again, like I said, you're not really, this has been platted like this for years, probably 40 years.
Your time is up. So.
I think that's good. I think I've got it covered. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
There's a couple.
You're
being nosy? Okay.
I'm happy to.
Okay.
Council about the
Okay.
changes, or I can do so during the regular meeting.
During the
whatever your
regular meeting would be fine. Anybody else, that would like to speak?
I have some information for citizens for Fairfield that doesn't apply to.
Okay. So you're here for the next meeting? Okay. You're here for the council meeting? Okay.
If it's just a public hearing. So does anybody on council care to discuss this?
I do. Okay. I'm gonna tell the citizens of Baltimore, do not get buffaloed because they cross all their I's or cross all their T's, dotted all their I's. You can still make a referendum, get a grassroots group, hire an attorney, and you can defeat this. I'm on council, I'm against it. I've lived here my entire life. It's bad for the whole. It's gonna tax our streets, it's gonna tax our roads, it's gonna tax our police department, our schools, our fire department. And we say that our sewer and water can handle it. Well, I don't trust our sewer and water right now. I don't even drink the water. I buy water from Giant Eagle. But I'll tell you this right now, do that. I also want to know, it's Major League Baseball season. All right, it's the playoffs. I love the playoffs. You know, the home plate has never been changed in all the years of baseball. It's 17 inches wide. Never been changed. Why are we lowering our standards so they can fit houses into this division? Just throwing it out there for you. Just throwing it out there. There's no data on these homes becoming rentals. Why is that? We were told that last time. We were told there's no data on that. Why is that? They don't want you to know. HOAs, they got no teeth. They've been taken to court and they've lost. They've lost. They've got no teeth. But pass it around. You still, as citizens, can get a referendum and defeat this thing on ballot. It's been done. It was done in Carroll.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know if something got over. Sure. I'd just like to answer a few things that you brought up, Mr. Phillips. Number one, sewer and water in the road. It's all engineered. They don't lie. I've been involved in this for years. There's not going to be an issue. It's the houses start. I believe that. What's the price?
I'll be the first one to get up in front of this.
Now, hang on, don't get emotional.
No, I'm not getting emotional. I'm just being stern. I will be the first one to get up here and say I was wrong.
But
if it
you're not looking at the information. So
I'm thinking with
you're getting
this
very
right here.
emotional.
I'm thinking with this
Here's
right here and
what-
not the gray matter in between my ears.
You're getting very emotional, and what's going to happen is this is going to get, if it gets denied, this town is going to start dying.
We've had no growth in 30 years, sir.
If you
And we're
don't have
still here.
growth, no, listen, if you don't have growth, I've seen it. What do you have? What do you have? What
We've had
happens?
no growth in 30 years. We're still here. We're functioning as a village. Do we have problems? Sure, we've got problems.
The gentleman brought it up last time, an older gentleman, I can't remember his name. He brought it up very clearly where his son lived. And he said they've defeated developments forever, just like you. I understand. I completely understand. You don't want to develop. I don't want to
We
develop.
live here for a reason.
So, but he said the area that his son was dying, and they finally figured it out, and they let some good people like this come in. You can't have a better opportunity. And don't play it on your emotions because you don't understand the sewer.
You don't know my
You
emotions.
don't understand.
Because I don't know you. You don't know my emotions. I don't know your emotions.
Well, you're not getting facts. The facts are this works.
The facts are we've
The
not grown
road,
30
the sewer,
years.
the water
And we
works.
still survive. As
See,
a
that's
village.
emotional. That's just based on.
That's not. No. I'm thinking with this in between the breastbone and not the gray matter in between. my ears.
All right, I'm not gonna sit here and debate you.
I'm not gonna debate you either.
Because I know you need to look at the facts.
Well, and I know people do things because all they care about is money.
It's not true here. You've got a great builder. You've got a great.
Why did they reduce the houses? Because they're still gonna make money, sir. They're still gonna make money. That's why they agreed to the lots.
This is agreed though. Understand the difference.
And if Baltimore proper, if somebody in Baltimore proper here wants to build a house and they don't have a 60-foot lot, how are we gonna address that? Are we gonna reduce? Are we gonna let them do that?
That doesn't mean you can't change something, sir.
I understand you can change
If
things.
you don't,
We
you're
can-
gonna get left behind and 20 years from now, you're gonna regret this. 10 years from now, you're gonna.
I'll be the first one to get up and say that I was wrong.
But you're gonna affect everybody in this town.
Well, you're gonna affect everybody by putting this development in.
You're affecting everybody like this.
You're gonna affect everybody by putting it in.
All right.
I'd like to say something else, if I could, please. It's very brief. I appreciate you saying what you said, Mr. Phillips. I spend $90 a month for a water bill here, and I buy over $150 in water so I can drink it. Them building all these houses is gonna affect our water so badly. We already have problems. We don't need these people coming in here at all. I mean, I understand you guys are looking at taxes and everything else for the village, but like Mr. Phillips said, we are surviving. We don't need it.
Go ahead, please.
I am also on council and I am in favor of this development. These people have jumped through hoops. Everything we've asked them to do, they have done. It is not going to cost Baltimore residents anything. And I agree with the gentleman that says, if we don't start developing, we're going to die. We're going to be like Dumontville or whatever. We need help with taxes. We need help with money. If you guys want all the streets done and all this done and all this done, we gotta have help. We
Only
can't.
attract business, real business.
Well, I feel, right, but I think we will attract
We will
businesses with
attract
more room.
business.
With more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we will
And
attract
they
business.
have, they vetted with the
Yeah.
schools, they vetted
Okay.
with the water department. I think it's a really good thing for all of them.
This public hearing. All right, so I will call this public hearing to adjourn. At 7:02.
Thank you.
I'm going right into the council meeting.
Be I need, I can come, I will come, hard as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I get a roll call, Brian?
Cosgray,
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
McCreary,
Present.
Phillips,
Here.
Reedy,
Present.
Schaffner. Hold on.
And anybody who wants to speak to council, please sign on the sign-in sheet, please.
All right, Rick.
Yeah, no, it's okay. When we're getting those signatures, can I get an approval on the agenda from last?
Well, we gotta have approval of minutes first.
Oh, approval on minutes, excuse me.
And I would like to make a motion to approve minutes of September 23rd.
Oscar, second.
Discussion. Okay. Roll call on that.
Reedy,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Foreman, Phillips,
Yes.
and Schaffner.
Yes.
Want to make some, we have a motion, we approve the agenda as written.
30 seconds.
Roll call.
Foreman,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Schaffner,
Yes.
Reedy,
Yes.
Okay, now this time, if there are any visitors.
Gwen? Is it Gwen? Is it Gwen?
Good evening. I will try to be as brief as possible. I know you've all heard this presentation, you've all heard about the changes we made. I want to hit a couple of things to start here. First thing is that we would love to see more businesses come to Baltimore. For most businesses, it is an algorithm and it's simply based on how many rooftops are in an area. And so based upon that, we feel that our development will help and continue to encourage other businesses to come to the area because quite simply, we're bringing more people to the area. The second thing I want to note is that there is an HOA here. It is a very stringent set of HOA covenants. You all have a copy of those in front of you right now. They are in draft format. They'll be recorded against the property prior to us transferring any lots at all. And we will remain as the developer in control of that HOA until there is 100% sale of those lots in the development. And what that does is that allows us to enforce those deed restrictions as written. And that includes everything from, sending nasty grams, making sure people pay their HOA fees, to filing cases in court, seeking injunctions. And so that is the power that we have. And I can tell you, having represented this developer for most of my career, they do enforce those deed restrictions. They do enforce those declarations. And if that requires court action, that's what they do. One of the changes that we made throughout this process that was very important to the Planning Commission is we adjusted the deed restrictions to state that at the time of first transfer from the developer to the first buyer, it will have to be an owner-occupied property. We will make sure that we do everything that we can to ensure that these are not rentals. A second way that happens here is because our price points are at about $350,000 to $425,000 for these homes, likely more by the time we start building them. We really notice that the market controls for that a lot. In order to get proper rents to cover those mortgage taxes and insurance on homes that are that expensive, we need really hefty rents. And the reality is the market kind of regulates that. These are generally owner-occupied homes. We don't have a lot of rental communities, and we do everything we can to back that up with the deed restrictions. The final thing that I want to note that we've lost a little bit of as we kind of move through this is that D.R. Horton is proposing a new community authority with this development. This is a structure under the revised code where people who live in our community pay more property taxes. They pay more property taxes than their neighbor. They are required to pay it both for their purchase contracts, and that's also a document that's recorded against the properties, separate from the deed restrictions. We're looking at about $5 million extra, which on a $400,000 house breaks out to about an extra $1,100 a year. And those revenues are being set aside to cover costs that community, that Liberty Bridge, will incur. So some of that millage wants to be devoted to making water improvements. If some of that millage wants to be devoted to school impact, if some of that millage wants to be devoted to another permissible purpose under the Ohio Revised Code, that millage is available for that. And that's one of the things we're bringing. Generally, with these structures, the extra property tax revenue goes to reimburse the developer for some form of upsizing with the sewer or roadway improvements. That's not the case here. Horton is fronting all of those development costs and is responsible for those development costs. The other thing I just want to touch on, because I know you've heard it, but we started this process. I actually filed this application in February, if you can believe it. It's been pending since February. Prior to February, we approached the village about a very aggressive sanitary sewer upsizing plan wherein Horton would go in, put in slightly larger sewer, and then would be reimbursed for that with tap fee credits. We were told in no uncertain terms that that was not going to work for Baltimore. And so we went back and we looked at it again, and we reduced our unit count to 203 homes. Right before the Planning Commission vote in September, we came down to 180 total lots. We have a mix of 40-foot and 50-foot product. We've got 116 lots that'll be 50 feet wide, We have 64 lots, so it'll be 40 feet wide. This is overall a 15% reduction in the original number of lots that we were looking at here. And again, we feel like we heard you, we're bringing slightly larger houses. The other thing that we're doing here is we will have a total of 52 different looks for these homes. There are different elevations and there are different decks to the homes on both our 30-foot and our 40-foot product. So we will not have two of the same home next to each other, and we will not have two of the same home across the street from one another. That's another item that we've committed to in restrictions that we as the developer can go ahead and enforce. So the other thing that came up with the Planning Commission that I want to note that is new is we did commit to the inclusion of a split rail fence along the southern boundary right here. So we are going to have a split rail fence right here. We've got our walking path here. This is a 6-foot wide asphalt walking path. That was originally a pervious surface that you can't push like a stroller on or put your sneakers on. We've made that 6-foot wide asphalt path in there. And we've also added the open space complete with the tot lot right in there. So we've had some changes to this plan. It looks a lot different than it looked in February. And we still feel like we're bringing value to the community. Again, we're at about $375,000. I think we're likely going to be more by the time we go to sell these homes. You know, that's generally what we're looking at here, and I'm happy to take any questions the board has at this time.
I have a question. I know I sound like a broken record, but you know that I've been concerned about the rental situation. Last time we spoke, we talked about, I had suggested that we could put in the homeowners, the CNCs perhaps, that there are no rentals, and you didn't feel that we could do that. I'm questioning, after talking to one of the homeowner association president of a condo park, not necessarily a single family park, can you limit the net number of that? So for example, you can only have 10% rentals in this subdivision.
So right now, as I said, we do have the restriction. We tried to meet halfway on this, where the first buyer who purchases it has to be an owner-occupied. We're not going to sell to any corporate ownership. That's not a mom and pop kind of LLC.
Once a person buys the property, they have property rights.
Yeah. I know.
And that's the property money too. I think this will do more to improve our ratio of owner occupied to rentals in the overall village of Baltimore than anything we've done.
I'm sorry, going back to my question. Is that a possibility? Because what I do worry about again is down the road. I mean, I understand that right off the gate there won't be any rentals, but we never know what's going to happen.
The average sale price in Baltimore that I could find is about $220,000. These homes are at a minimum going to be $350,000. It's the materials, it's the development costs, it's our land acquisition costs,
you don't know
everything else. Yeah, but I think that given our price points, it's just going to be regulated by the market. It's a lot harder to get a tenant in a house that has a mortgage that is, you know, let's just call it $1,900 a month. I mean, you would have to charge a tenant to make that work, you know, something like $2,300, whereas in a $220,000 house, and I know you're seeing a lot of rentals here, and I know that's a major concern in this area. It's a much different calculation because the costs are so much lower. So I don't have authority this evening to let that. We have no other HOAs that I am aware of that Dearborn has done where that percentage is limited. But we have the transfer upon the first time ownership. We don't have a lot of renters in our communities. I provided a list of other communities around Central Ohio where we build. We're in Pickerington, we're in Lithopolis, we're in Asheville. We're obviously in Columbus, and just unless it's a specifically built to rent product, which this is not, it's just not what we see because our value proposition is so much higher, and it's just so much harder for a landlord to make that work. So that's the answer. Thank you. Any other questions?
What was that about?
Just smiling at you, but do you have any questions about the HOA?
I don't.
Okay, great, thank you. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Betty Bennett?
I'm not used to doing this, I'm usually another lady that takes care of these meetings. I'm here to represent the citizens of Fairfield. Citizens for Fairfield against solar. I know previously there was other people here, but everybody's at other meetings tonight, so here I am. So I'm gonna try to do what they want me to do here. We're asking that you support Walnut Township against solar. So, I've made. Thurston has already filed their letter with the Ohio Power Siting Board, so we would like for you to send a letter to the Ohio Power Siting Board also asking to deny this project. There's 1,550 acres that they have leased to put solar panels in. One of the farms is right across the road from my house, so I've got a lot of fears about this thing should it come to fruition. So anyway, I won't hold you up. I just wanted to give you this letter and to let you know we really do need your support in this. We've been fighting it now for a couple of years. It's getting real close, and then we've already received their letter as far as the certificate of completion. So we're looking probably within the next 30 to 90 days for them to have our hearing for this project.
Is this for the Eastern Part?
Yes. What is it? And I live out on 256, right across from the farms.
You have something to give to someone?
I do. Do I give it to
Matt or the mayor?
You want to go to her? This actually is page 106 of their application, which is 1,200 pages, by the way. But it shows what their estimates are as far as what you're going to be growing into. Basically, everybody around in this area, they're saying. I'm gonna do that too.
Okay, thank you.
And then that's the letter that city or the village of Thurston.
Thank you.
And it's very well.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
Okay, thank you. No one's else. Mr. DiPaolo? No? Steve? Anybody else that didn't sign in? Okay.
Village administrator reports. So obviously we're slightly at odds over this Liberty Ridge thing. I'm just going to say publicly that this isn't the first meeting that we had about this. This is the fourth meeting we've had about this. And I know when Kenny and the zoning people voted on this, this took a lot of thought and a lot of process. And we all live here, so it's going to affect all of us who live here. Now, does it affect us positively or negatively? As far as having a choice on this, they voted us here to give us to have a voice for the people. And the people that I've talked to, the small businesses obviously want more rooftops, so we can have some more businesses. This is just my personal opinion. This isn't obviously anybody else's, but I just want to make that. I want everybody to know that that's where I'm at with the whole thing. We're going to vote on it, and when we get to that ordinance and get to that, it'll be that. That will be that. And I do feel like, Ben, that it will be done responsibly, and we're here to see to that. And I personally talked to you, and I tell you that Kenny and I lost sleep over this whole thing in the beginning of all this. So we didn't just gently come to this decision or gently say, yeah. And as far as I've heard people say it's about money and this and that, is it going to generate more income for the village? Obviously it is. And is it going to make the water and sewer tap fees that we're going to get from this? Can we make improvements to the sewer system, to the water system? 100% we can. And every cent of that money will go back into the village. So that's where I'm at with that. As far as any other reports go, I'm pretty I guess I'm done talking about everything else. We'll just go right to Matt with the administrative report.
Yeah, so I submitted, my report to you in paper, unless you have any questions, I don't know that I'll expound on that at all.
Fiscal officer.
I don't think I have anything else to add tonight.
Mr. Solicitor, do you have anything? Just a short summary on the legislation that's on for first reading tonight. The first is an ordinance, which is 2024-33, an ordinance accepting the annexation of the 83.346 acres from Liberty Township to the village of Baltimore. This is the final step. That it's a formality on council's behalf, but we've waited the 60-day time period that's mandated in order to finalize that. The county commissioners have already approved the annexation. So this is the final step. There are no immediate plans to develop that parcel. This is the Keller family parcel. Just to refresh your memories, the Keller family reached out to the village late last year, early this year, and said, hey, we'd like to annex into the village. We'd like to obtain village services, including water and sewer. We have no immediate plans to develop, but in the event that we do, we want to be part of the village. And so we've approved the resolution already of services that we can offer to this parcel once it is annexed. So that's the first piece of legislation. We have 5 on there for first reading. Second one, Brian can offer more details on this, but this is a resolution authorizing an advance from the general fund to 2 different funds. One, the Urban Forestry Grant Fund and the Swimming Pool Fund. So we're advancing those funds with the obtaining reimbursement once those funds are received. Resolution 2024-35 is a resolution granting a special use agreement to the Baltimore Downtown Restoration Committee, the BDRC, for use of various village facilities for the winter market. We've done that in the past. So, and I don't believe that needs to, I didn't include emergency language, it wasn't requested to. So, next legislation is ordinance 2024-36. Which authorizes the VA to enter into a contract with BK Layer LLC for the Gordon Street Water Line and Roadway Improvement Project. That does carry emergency language. And then the last piece of legislation on for first reading is ordinance 2024-37, which is an ordinance approving and giving consent to the director of ODOT, the Ohio Department of Transportation, to perform different resurfacing work and new curb ramps in the village on bridges that are on state routes. This is primarily 158. So standard piece of legislation. They ODOT asks that the village approve this by legislation so they can move forward. That does have emergency language because there are timeframes and they want to be able to start the work sooner rather than later. I understand. Right?
We just got this, a couple weeks ago? Yeah.
And that's not unusual. Sometimes the requests come in the last minute. So 2 pieces of legislation on for a second reading, 3 on for a third reading, and then there's 1 table ordinance, and that's all.
Go to village council committee, finance committee report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we did have a meeting tonight. We discussed the bank, went over bank information, September metrics, and appropriations. We also sent to council, listening to council, resolution 2024-34, which is about the urban, and the ordinance 2024-36, which is Gordon Street. And our next meeting, is October 11th at 6.
October, November?
Sure, November 11th.
Service committee.
Service did not meet this evening, and the next meeting for service is going to be November, what, 17th?
No,
October
October 28th.
Yeah. At 6 o'clock.
And safety.
Did not meet, we'll meet October 28th and following.
Yes, sir. And the rules.
We didn't meet, we were kind of cut short, so, we're just gonna pick up everything next meeting, which will be November 11th, 6:30, following finance.
And get a report from the police chief.
Thanks, Mayor. So, everything's rolling along, although we did have, another person turn in a resignation. He's going to, leave law enforcement, altogether. He's going to just sit in the private sector. I don't think he's going to. He's an SRO, so we've got some issues there to talk about. Unfortunately, on the spot.
Yeah. That's the, when you say SRO, that's the police and not the school. Yeah. And so we got to get that figured out. Yes.
Okay. Other than that, everything's rolling along. No other issues to speak of.
Okay. Super. Ready to fire board.
All right, Boswell Joint Fire District Board will meet this Thursday at 5:30 at Station 6.
And the Planning and Zoning Commission. I think our next meeting is November 14th. Yeah, I believe it's the 14th. The tree commission, we talked about it tonight, about a couple of things that are going on with the street trees and the removal of some. I need to get with Steve on that just so we can follow up with all that. Records commission. Nothing, that's it. And Bicentennial Commission.
We continue to raise money, we're doing it well, money-wise now. It looks like I think that we are going to have enough to do everything we want to do. So we are right now, really in the process of trying to just establish a schedule of events on dates and get things organized in that way.
All right. We will go straight to motion.
I'm sorry, can I just calendars, bicentennial calendars are currently on sale in the village office for $10. And we're still selling bricks, so we will still remain selling.
Okay, for how long?
For at least the end of the year. We thought they might be a nice holiday.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Well, motions
You have
first.
to ask if council wants to make it.
Is there any, does anybody have any motions to make?
I'd like to make a motion that from that general fund that we have $621,000. We take $500,000 in that and put towards fixing this water main out here on Market Street. Forward second that.
Okay. I would say we'll have to figure out where we're at on all that. Monetarily, correct?
Yeah.
Ryan, you're gonna want legislation on them soon, correct?
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta write this down. Yeah, we'll have to have legislation on that.
We're still trying to get grants or anything
Oh,
that we
yeah.
can get for it.
Yes.
That was on Main Street though.
Market
Street, sorry.
To where? 500,000 for what? To fix
To
Market?
just start that project, not to obviously to finish. it.
Replace as much of it as possible. Possibly Pond Barter to Maine or
Right, like
Maine to
we'll have to
Oak
get
or
prices.
whatever areas. Probably Maine to Oak has had the most support.
Tim Doctor said that for what we did Washington Street, we could do from Holder Road past Oak Street.
Which would be Pond Barter, Oak,
Yeah.
we're about saying.
Yeah, because Holder's already got, there's stuff on them. But he said from Holder Road, for the amount of money we did Washington Street, we could probably get past Oak Street. And start at
And
the,
most of the repairs have been in that section.
and I'm just looking at it, it's not a loan, it's already money. We don't have to pay that back.
Yeah.
And we don't have to wait on a grant that near me.
And do we have any input from our engineer on that at all? Yeah.
When you get engineering and budget, they're out the bid.
That's what I assumed, but I didn't know if that's already been done.
No, no.
So-
Yeah. We'll have to get, the money for it. We'll have to figure it all out with, V3, yeah, we need to see if we had that much money, because they would be the ones saying, if we said we had this much money, what could we do? And they could tell us the area.
What's that motion? I'm gonna interpret that motion as being a motion for me to prepare legislation, but we've got a lot of groundwork to do because I'll have to get with Brian and discuss that. We'll probably have to go off the bids once V3
tells us how much we.
Yeah, we're speculating, gives their response that amount of money, so clarify that.
Doesn't take most of the money.
They take some of it, but that's what they do. So far they have that down.
You can always amend to make it more, right?
Right.
Some money, right?
All right, is there any other motions?
Well, we gotta have a roll call on this.
Okay, roll call.
Phillips.
Yes.
And Foreman.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2024-33, ordinance accepting the annexation of 83 acres in Keller Farm annexation, directing the village solicitor to prosecute proceeding necessary to effect it and the declaration of an emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to table this ordinance.
I'll second it.
Do we have a sponsor?
No, we don't have a sponsor.
We have to take a roll call on that.
Yeah, we're gonna take a roll call.
Well, you can have discussion on it first and then do a roll call.
My reasons for wanting to table this, one, when the Kellers first came to us, they came to us proposing that 2 farms be in there, not 1. And the other one being south of town and probably more relevant. At the time that they made this request, there were no other major pending annexations or developments underway, where since then there have been other requests and pretty rapid movement on the development of Liberty Ridge. And so the village is being viewed as greedy or annexation happy. So I don't see any real relevance of annexing this farm just for posterity. And I would like to clarify the other farm situation, because it's kind of like they came to us for 2 farms and one just got left behind without any clear reasoning as to why. I know why, but I'm not okay with it. The other reason is that the appearance to the members of the community, there's just no real need to annex it at this time. And so I'm asking to table it.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Who seconded it?
I did.
There was one other reason. The commissioners asked that we keep county addresses, and I'm adamantly opposed to that. As a person who annexed north of town to be a member of the community, I now have a hardware that is located at 8865 Lancaster Kirkersville Road, and I insist on having a Main Street address. I pay a lot of money to be in town and in town on Main Street. And with this annexation, they're trying to continue that problem. And that is not, I don't think it's appropriate to be in town and not have an in-town address.
Like a Market Street address.
Main Street or Market
Yes,
Street.
it's that's what I meant.
That is my other significant reason for me to hold on this, because I'm not okay with continuing township or county addresses inside the village. That's not
And hasn't this caused a little bit of a rift with the Liberty Township trustees?
It has, for sure.
And I thought we were getting along with them very well until this came up. So that's why I'm in favor of tabling this also.
Well, that's not the reason we're not.
Yeah, I think the village needs to do what the village needs to do. I'm
Right.
upset that it upset the township trustees. I think we need to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
But I think that we need to do what's right for the village regardless of the trustees'
Right.
position. But I do think that would like to have a good relationship with the trustees and work together on things, and I thought we were, and suddenly we're not. I'd like to try to work that out before we move forward on this and address these other issues that I brought up.
Can I make a comment? So on the numbering, I just want to make sure I was understanding this, but wasn't the changing in the numbering system for safety in terms of fire and police? I thought that was why the county was requesting that, simply to make sure that if equipment needed to be deployed out there to a subdivision, a potential subdivision, for safety reasons, that's why they are requesting.
Long term, that really doesn't make any sense, because once that becomes more and more a part of the village with sidewalks and curbs and actually feels and looks like a part of the village, for the addresses and the street names to jump from Main Street to Lancaster-Kirklandville Road when you still feel like you're in town, I mean, immediately, yes, it's a problem. Long term, it's an even bigger problem.
If I can interject or respond to some of Rick's comments, with regard to the house numbering system, you're correct, Brandy. It's primarily a safety issue, fire and emergency services. The majority of the properties on the east side of 158 that have annexed to the village have retained as Rick indicated, the Lancaster-Kirklandville Road. They're intervening properties. So from where the current village corporation limits are to where the Keller property starts, those are all Lancaster-Kirklandville Road addresses. So it would be awkward and probably cause a lot of confusion if you were to insist that this newly annexed parcel follow a North Main Street address, because you would jump from Lancaster-Kirklandville Road addresses, and there are probably, I'm just guessing, but maybe 8 to 10 properties that are in between these two parcels that would be opposed most likely to being required to renumber their addresses. People don't want to do that. And I had a pretty lengthy conversation with the county engineer regarding that, and they have required certain properties to change their addresses, to update their addresses, especially if it causes safety issues. But they typically run into a lot of opposition from property owners because they don't want to do it. They've had the current numbering system. They have to reach out to their banks, to their mortgage companies. They have to go through a lot of changes. And most of the time, there's a lot of opposition to them doing that. So initially, the county said, well, we want to see an agreement between the village and the county so that the village follows the county house numbering system. So I explored that, and there is no formal house numbering system. There's a policy, but they can't point to any kind of formal anything in writing that says, okay, this is our house numbering system. But they backed off from that position and said, well, we would ask that the village, for safety reasons that we've outlined, that they consider this. So if and when that property is developed. So eventually it'll be developed, most likely. I mean, I think that's the goal of the Keller family, but there's nothing immediate in their plans to do that. With regard to the property that the Keller family owns south of town, that's not currently annexable. That would be a separate annexation altogether. It wouldn't be combined with this parcel because these parcels are north of the village. The other parcels are located south of the village, and they're not currently contiguous to the village corporation limits. So there has to be some preliminary work done, either getting some other property owners on board with that annexation, before they can proceed with that. That's not a delay by the Keller family. They still are interested in moving forward with annexation. They're still the parcel south of town, and they're willing to do that, but there has to be some other work done to get some intervening property owners on board.
And you were here when the parks asked for our blessing on the grant request. And the only requirement we had was that the parks annex. And now they're reneging on that. And we've been told, well, there's different people. Well, we were supposed to enter into an annexation agreement. So it didn't matter who the people were. The annexation agreement was directed by council in exchange for our support for the grant request. It wasn't a suggestion. It was instructions that we are to enter into an annexation agreement with Fairfield County Parks in exchange for support for their grant request. And now to just say, well, it's new people, it doesn't matter who the people are. That was our requirement, and now that's being ignored, and I'm not okay with that.
Okay, well, my point to that is that we're talking two different parcels.
Granted, but they would both be contiguous if the parks had fulfilled their obligation to annex, and now they are not fulfilling their obligation.
Yes.
And so how do we remedy that?
That would be Mr. Faco.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm working on, quite frankly. So, and contacting other property owners to see if there are other routes available annexation wise besides the parcels.
So I'm comfortable with withholding this annexation until we resolve the other one.
Okay. Well, again, and that's up to council to do that. My concern is that we're in a sense punishing the Keller family by saying, okay, we're not moving forward on your annexation to the north because we need to clean up the ability for you to annex your property south of the village also. And I don't think that's fair.
Well, if there's something pending, I would put a lot more stock in that. But
well, we're 90% through the process, so it's not pending. I mean, we're 90% completed. The village has already advanced the fees for the surveying of $8,000, I believe. Passed the resolution of services saying we're supportive of this. Based on all of that, the county commissioner said, well, we give our blessing to it. There's no opposition to this. We're going to give our blessing to this. And this is, again, a formality, but it's typically something that is done routinely. So it's not something that,
I think we got enough on our plate that we can still table this. And
well, the council can do whatever they want. I'm just responding to Rick's.
And I'm not saying we're not doing it. I'm just saying at this time, I would request that we cancel it, and we have a motion in a second.
To table it.
Yeah. So we need to vote on that.
Well, yeah. Do we need to vote on the table?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see, Foreman?
Yes.
And Phillips?
Yes.
Schaffner?
No.
Cosgray?
No.
Curry?
No.
Reedy?
No.
Okay, so it's not tabled. It does have emergency language, but it requires a 5.
I'll tell you, if it's emergency language, it's got to be 5-1. It's not going to be 5-1. And if we need to table it, even for all of us to talk about it, then we need to table it to talk about it. If we're worried about the relationship with the township, I mean, I went to one of their meetings and been very receptive to everything they've said. And if they had a issue with this, or they've never came to any of our meetings to say anything. So I kind of, and then as far as what they're doing with our employees and with their employees, they're cutting their nose to spite their face, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's to say it's juvenile. It is juvenile, but that's what I'm saying. We have to, but we probably do need to have a conversation with them so we can get it worked out.
Well, if there's not a motion to suspend at 3 readings, we'll
Just stay on for a second.
Yeah,
It just stays on.
it'll go on
And then
for a
we'll have
second.
to firm that up.
Not a big deal.
Okay. All right, so we good on that?
Need a sponsor?
Well, no. Oh,
Well, it's just staying on for a second read. We should put a sponsor.
Yeah.
Who's going to sponsor this?
I'll sponsor it.
Okay. All right, so we're rolling down the list here. Resolution 24-34. Resolution authorizing an advance from the general fund to the urban forestry grant fund and an advance from the general fund to the swimming pool fund and the declaration of an emergency. I need to
That was Cosgrave sponsored.
Yeah, I sponsored this. It came out of finance.
Yes.
So we need to, pass this.
You could pass this today.
Right, so.
And it's all reimbursable too.
Right. So these are, we're advancing from the general fund to these two, grants. As the grants will be reimbursed, and so the general fund will get reimbursed. So I make a motion to suspend 3 readings.
4 seconds.
Any discussion on that? Okay, we have a roll call then.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yeah, 3 readings will suspend it. Cosgrave makes a motion that we adopt resolution 2024.
4 seconds.
32.
Roll call.
Well, any discussion?
Any discussion on that? Or was it unanimous? Okay, now roll call.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Moving on to resolution 24-35. A resolution granting special use agreement of the Baltimore Downtown Restoration Committee for the use of various village facilities for the winter market. Do I have a sponsor for that?
Yes.
Randy. Do I have any discussion on that?
We can just go to a second reading.
Okay, just go to
No,
the second.
it can just go to a second. It can go through. It can go through 3 readings.
Okay. So we're good on that. We're going on to the next ordinance. Ordinance 24-36, an ordinance authorizing the village administrator to enter to a contract with BK Laird LLC for the Gordon Street Waterline and Roadway Improvement Project and a declaration of an emergency. Can I get a sponsor?
The Cosgrave. Cosgrave is sponsored.
Came through finance, and
Right.
I'll sponsor that. They need to get that work started.
Yes.
So I would make a motion that we suspend the 3 reading rule.
4 seconds.
Any discussion on that? Okay, so can we?
No, we got to vote.
Yes, can we go to a vote on that, please?
Cosgrave.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Right. Cosgrave makes a motion that we adopt the ordinance
36.
4 seconds.
Put a roll call on that.
We have to have a discussion first.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was unanimous. I guess when there's not when it's unanimous, there's a discussion on that. We just want to get to it. Roll call, please.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Schaffner. Reedy.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-37, an ordinance approving and giving consent to the Director of Ohio Department of Transportation to perform resurfacing and replacement of curbs and ramps as needed and the preventative maintenance on bridges within the resurfacing areas on portions of State Route 158 inside the village corporation limits and the declarations of an emergency. Can I get a sponsor on that?
I'll
I'll second that.
He's just been the sponsor.
Yeah.
He's the sponsor.
Yeah, can we suspend the 3 reading rule?
To suspend. Yeah, like we just got this from ODOT like a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha. It's there done anyway.
It's suspended. 1 second.
Is there any discussion on this? Nope. Okay. So now can we do?
No, we gotta have a roll call. Roll call.
Roll call on that motion to suspend the 3 reading.
Okay, it was Phillips.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
And Reedy.
Yes.
Motion to adopt. 4 seconds.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Phillips.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Schaffner. Reedy.
Yes.
So we're on to a second reading. Second reading ordinance 24-31, an ordinance to amend chapter 123607, planning and zoning code, non-conforming uses, drainage, and destruction of the Baltimore codified ordinances. The declaration of an emergency. This is sponsor is Ms. McCreary.
Yes, actually, we had a very lengthy conversation regarding this planning and zoning. So then I believe we brought it to rules, and then we brought it to council. This is in regards to some properties that if they are, let's say, a duplex, that we want to make sure in the event of some type of disaster, or if it would burn down, the insurance can actually duly cover the said property. So with that,
Take a second reading.
the declaration.
That's just so it takes effect right away.
Yeah, but because one of the affected property owners by the current language in the ordinance. Yes, is due. So we put an emergency language so that when it is adopted, it'll go into effect.
Plus, we haven't had we're supposed to have a hearing. We canceled that hearing.
Right. So we still need to have a public hearing. Right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read this ordinance and then I'll broaden it. Ordinance 2432, an ordinance to rezone North Bottle Street, 55 acre parcel known as parcel number 0240-251-400 and 120 North Main Street, 13.288 acres parcel known as 0240-124420 and 8740 Balza Road Northwest with a 1.5 acre parcel known as parcel number 0240207109 from the village single family residence home R3 to a planned unit development district in the declaration of an emergency. This was sponsored by Ms. Reedy. This is the second reading. We all know what this is about. So is there any discussion on this?
No.
Well, I would like to make a motion to suspend the third reading rule.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion?
This would require at least 5 votes.
Yes, it does.
If it goes to the third reading, it's need a simple majority.
Exactly.
Okay, this is just to suspend, so I'll wait until we get to the adult part.
We need a roll call. There's no other discussion. So there's no other discussion. You need a roll call, Brian.
Reedy,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Cosgray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Philip,
No.
Schaffner.
So it doesn't, so there's no emergency, there's no suspension of the 3 reading rule, so it goes on for a
Third reading
third
would
reading.
be 4 votes.
It would be 4 votes.
Yeah, simple majority to pass on the third reading.
Okay. Which will be done at the next.
Okay. Move to the third reading.
Now we're at a third reading. Ordinance 24-28, ordinance of amending the traffic control map to convert portions of Mill Street and Walnut Street to a one-way street. The sponsor on this is Mr. Philip.
Yes. For some voucher in the street department, guys. So when they plow.
Got a motion to adopt?
Yes.
Foreman seconds.
Is there any discussion on that? We discussed it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I get a roll call?
Phillips,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Schaffner, Cosgray, McCreary, Reedy.
Yes.
Ordinance is passed.
Go into effect in 30 days because there's no emergency.
And we notify them, right? Matt?
We will. We have not.
But they will now.
We will now.
Okay.
Yes.
And typically when the signage goes up, there's the police departments will usually issue courtesy notices instead of citing. So maybe.
All right.
May not do this.
Next third reading is ordinance 24-29 and ordinance amending section 452-16 of the Baltimore Code ordinances, parking prohibited on certain streets and traffic control map to provide for no parking on a portion of Mill Street. The sponsor of this is also Mr. Phillips. This is just part of what we just talked about. Is there any discussion on that?
Right. You have to make a motion to adopt first.
Make a motion with
Who got it?
Reedy.
Okay.
Now discussion, pardon me. It's what we already discussed. Can we get a roll call, please?
Phillips.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
Foreman.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Cosgrove.
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, so the next third reading ordinance is ordinance 24-30 and ordinance amending chapter 1024-05 of the Baltimore Codified Ordinances, water and sewer tap charges and related fees. Sponsor on this is Mr. Foreman.
Yeah, it's been years since we've adjusted them and we're just kind of keeping up with the economy and inflation. So, formula solution to adopt. That's for a second.
Any discussion on this? We get
Boy, this is the one.
it's the one where the tap fees.
That's just for residential only.
Yeah, right, for when you're building a new house.
Okay.
There was some discussion about amending that to include
At the last service.
other fees rather than just the residential.
Yes. Because you said residential and the rest of that list is commercial and that's.
I mean, you
I
can
guess
still,
when we talked about it, we didn't specify commercial or residential.
Yeah,
Conversation
especially-
early on.
Yeah, it was residential.
I don't know if we did early on, but
Early
the
on, maybe you did
legislation,
at the meeting I wasn't at, but initially we didn't.
but last time we spoke about wanting to do it across.
Oh, yeah, we want to do it for.
And initially, I didn't think we excluded one versus the other.
Didn't we?
there was going to be further discussion on it, and then I never heard anything after that as far as what to do. So,
I thought it included all that.
We need to table it then.
I don't think we need to table. I think we need, while we're discussing, we just need to.
It was a percentage increase across the board. That's what we discussed. It's my
For
understanding.
businesses and for homeowners.
it's not now.
It's not, the ordinance says residential only.
That was not our intent, so I changed it. I'm gonna make the motion that we change it to include all that.
Reedy, second.
Okay, I have a question then. Because, just for clarity purposes, are we have a number of fees. So we have these fees which address just residential, but then we have commercial and we have water capacity fees, sewer capacity fees, but we also have fees for low pressure grinder pumps and fire taps.
So we're talking specifically about taps.
Okay. So it's just tap fees, no modification to grinder pumps or fire tap fees? Okay.
And not just the 3/4 inch, which was
Across the board.
but across the board.
Yes.
Okay, and on a percentage basis, just for clarity purposes?
When we go back to the minutes of the meeting, but it was a percentage.
It was 20%. It was 20%.
Yeah.
Well, then, if you make a motion to amend that to include, then I'll update the ordinance and then incorporate it. That's easy enough to do.
That was my understanding of our initial conversation. I'm not sure what happened. I mean, I don't know that.
Well, the ordinance says residential only.
Well, yeah, those were my marching orders, is to address it, to make a modification for residential, so, and.
I just remember it was across the board.
So is that what your motion is then?
Yes, yes.
To modify it?
Taps across the board.
For
Taps.
residential and for business, yeah.
And that's what I thought I accepted.
That was what I thought we were doing all along.
So we have a second.
Cosgrave, well,
I made a motion, Reedy seconded.
Not on this one, I thought Wade seconded this one, so.
no, to amend,
To amend.
to amend.
To amend was Reedy to adopt.
Okay,
Cosgrave, but
That's-
we went back and had to amend it, then change it.
yeah. Reedy, just a second. Okay,
So this is to amend.
Okay.
Thank to include both residential and businesses.
Okay.
Now can we get a vote?
Yes, Foreman.
To amend, this is a vote.
To amend.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
All right, so
So then Foreman, you motion.
Foreman makes a motion to adopt.
As amended.
As amended.
Pause 3 seconds.
Any discussion? Now can we get a vote on
Foreman.
Yes.
Cosgray.
Yes.
McCreary.
Yes.
Reedy.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Schaffner.
Yes.
that? Okay, so now for the table, I think we're gonna leave the table, correct?
No, you have ordinance.
Yeah, it's the.
No,
We're done.
we just did 30.
We're gonna table that,
Am I missing one?
24-23.
It's on the table.
Yeah.
It's on
I know, but did I miss one?
I don't believe so.
I think I did.
If they came out of finance, have been taken care of.
I understand that. I'm looking at the, there was a water rate charge too. I missed one on the agenda.
There's nothing.
It's not on the agenda.
Well, then I'll put it on the next
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah,
Say that, I thought that rate when it had expired, we make a new one.
right.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we'll put that on the next one. All right, is there any old business that needs to be discussed? Business that needs to be discussed. Anybody? Any visitors have anything let's say? Okay, can I get a last call for anything else? Next meeting will be held October 28th at 7 p.m. And all the ordinances that were on their second reading will be the third reading. We will go to vote on all those. And do I have a motion to
Foreman
adjourn?
makes a motion to adjourn.
Yep.